Hello there. So today we're going to be talking about how to build this standing roll-up desk. All right, so there are three main pieces that we're going to talk about for this project. I mean, one piece is just the TV, so maybe it's really two pieces, okay? So the first piece we're going to talk about is the actual squat rack itself, right? I personally just bought a Rogue, I believe it was an SR1 squat rack, I believe is what it's called, which I can't remember the cost of it. I'll make sure to put it down in the description below. Obviously, it's pretty expensive. You can purchase, honestly, any mobile squat rack that has a base section to it, because all you really need is you need a base section here to put some caster wheels on it. Obviously, if you have a regular squat rack like this that's bolted into the ground, you don't have a base section, you can't roll it. It's not a good squat rack unless you just want to put it right there and leave it there. So you're gonna have to start with some kind of squat rack. Obviously there are cheaper squat racks out there, but the squat rack you purchase, you're gonna need to make sure that you have a lot of options for a safety bar squat bar rack, a safety squat bar rack, whatever they're called. Anyways, you need to make sure you have the option to buy these, to hook them onto there, and that they can be changed up and down, and they have a lot of holes and a lot of options, because you're gonna use this to essentially mount the second piece, which is really important, and that is your actual wooden desk. Now, you can use wood, you can use metal. I looked at someone making a metal piece for me, and I might go back and actually relook at that, and it might actually look better metal on metal. I just like the concept of the wood on the metal look, especially for the barn. You can do whatever you want. Honestly, the cost of this desk is more expensive than you think, because I made a lot of mistakes. So one thing you need to make sure you do when you measure out for this desk, which I didn't know when I had the squat rack from Rogue, is there's this piece that comes off here that kind of jets out that allows you to get around. So when Rogue measures the distance between this rack distance, they measure from here, from outside to outside, which is great, which, you know, that makes sense for a regular barbell. But as soon as I want to put side pieces on here, that way to allow my desk not to slide horizontally, I didn't take into consideration this piece here. So I had to actually buy wood for this twice, at least the middle section. I had to buy this twice because I cut it too short when I put it up here, because I measured outside to outside and I didn't take that into consideration. It was too short and it wouldn't actually fit. So just make sure you, again, measure twice, cut once. I didn't do that, so I stink. So honestly, the cost of this right here, they're just a bunch of 2x4s. Okay, so just a bunch of 2x4s. The distance I believe that I was working with, well, let me grab my measuring tape. The distance I was working with, I believe, is 24 inches. Yeah, it's just under 24 inches, okay? Or at 24 inches. So you can honestly, 24 inches, pretty divisible. 24, pretty divisible by 4, by 6, by 12, by 2. So you can honestly use a lot of different combinations here. At the first choice I chose for wood, before I measured and had to recut it, do it again, I used 2x4s. Sorry if I call these 2x4s. I used these are 2x6s, but the first time I used 2x4s, that's too many pieces of wood to screw into the sides. I had a bunch of them, so I decided instead to go by 2x6s. It just made it easier for actually finishing it and screwing it all together. For the actual wood screws, I took them home, so forgive me. But for the actual wood screws, I just used some wood screws that were, I don't remember the actual length. I think they were 3 inches, I believe. I used 3-inch wood screws that I used to mount my side piece into the regular boards that were for my desk, and then of course also to mount my back piece into the actual boards. So that thing was actually pretty simple to make. For the stain, I had an option of going with a lighter or a dark stain. My wife wanted me to go with a lighter stain. Looking back, I might change to a darker stain, because the light just, it is stained. I know what you're thinking, oh, it's not stained. It is definitely stained. It just doesn't look as good as it should look, I think. So that's that. That's pretty easy to make. If you want to, you could change that with metal like I mentioned. I just decided to go with wood. So whatever. The actual squat stand itself, the only really change I had to make was 3 things, okay? Number 1, I had to add wheels to the bottom. So I bought these at Home Depot, okay? I had to make sure I measured the base plate out so I know how wide it was, so I knew how wide, the biggest caster I could buy was this one right here. It supports 250 pounds each, so, 4 of them. I'm not squatting 1,000 pounds anytime soon, or probably ever, so I figured I was safe. So I bought 4 of these. I knew it was gonna fit. Also, don't judge me because all my holes are way off. It's a judgment-free zone, ladies and gents. You're gonna need a metal drill bit. I believe these are 5/16. Okay, so these 5/16 fit perfectly into my caster wheels. I bought a metal drill bit for a 5/16, and I bought, 24 screws, or bolts, sorry. And then, of course, the washers and the nuts that go along with them. And that was the hardest part. That was the biggest pain when it comes to drilling these things. I had to flip it upside down, and I actually went the bottom first. So I drilled this hole first, and then came through, and then completely continued to go. I had a, a leveler that I used to make sure that my drill was up and down pretty even, but as you can tell, sometimes they didn't work as well as you thought they would. So that was the most tedious part, was having to drill, I had to drill 24 holes on the top and 24 holes on the bottom. We're talking about 48 holes. That took quite a bit of time. But that was pretty simple to mount on. Pretty easy. One thing you should note if you're using a squat rack is make sure when you do screw these holes in, make sure you also take in consideration these bolts have to go through. Obviously mine are pretty close, but it still works. So make sure that this isn't on the same hole that this is. You have one extra to work with, you can shift it, but even if I shifted it, this was gonna get close to this one. So that's the position I chose. That's the first thing you have to do, the squat rack. The second thing you're gonna have to do is you're going to have to buy an extra cross beam, an extra cross member. So this cross member, or cross beam, I had to buy as extra. It is essentially that. That's all it is. I had to talk to Rogue, or whoever you're buying it off of, and make sure you tell them you want an extra cross beam that you put across the top. This is what's allowing me to hook an actual TV stand here, or a TV mount. So that's the cross beam I use there. Obviously you can tell they have, UPS is pretty far behind. They haven't shipped me my 4th screw, but it's working for now. For the actual TV mount, I think I actually have what this TV mount is. Yeah, here it is. So this is the actual TV mount that I used. I found it was the easiest one to use because I didn't have to actually drill through it all. I just went through the holes with some 5/16 screws, and just put a washer, and it's not going anywhere. That thing is on there, okay? So that's pretty simple. So that was the third thing you had to do, the squat rack. So let me put it all together real fast. And that, ladies and gents, that's all it is. I think I put the over-under cost at the whole thing for around, well, it depends on what TV you buy. Let's just kind of take that into consideration. Probably about $1,000 for the whole thing. It's not a cheap standing desk whatsoever. That is expensive standing desk, but I wanted something that fit into what the barn looked like. I wanted something that looked industrial, and I want something that I could also use for different things. And the ability to change that desk height up and down as much as I want, have that big TV screen there. And for the purposes I'm using it for, which is going to be filming online virtual classes, I'll have the the computer actually film myself with a webcam. I'll have it HDMI into the TV, and then I can see my class on the TV. It's expensive, but I thought to myself, I wanted something that looked really good, that could last the test of time, and wasn't gonna get broken at all, being in a gym with barbells going around, and I was pretty safe. The other thing that I can use it for, which I probably won't, but is an option, is I can use it as a barbell rack, right? So I can buy more J-clips, put them down here, and then I have essentially the same rack you have over there, but I have it on the back, and it's a movable piece. And then I also, if I really wanted to, I could also probably put some vertical bars here, and then also use it as a plate rack holder. So there's a lot of options. It's pretty simple build. I mean, honestly, the hardest thing is just making sure you measure correctly and know what you're doing. I didn't do that well. And then making sure your castors and putting those holes in there were kind of the hardest thing. So Anyways, that's how to build a really industrial standing rolling desk thing. Hope you enjoyed that, and I probably won't be building anything anytime soon because that took a lot of my frustrations out, and I cursed at the wood many times because I measured it wrong. Anyways, guys, have a great day. Talk to you later. See ya.